All right, welcome to session dos. That is two in Spanish. And we are going to get started. Again, my name is Emily Knife. You obviously know that because you're in this course with me. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for being here live or watching this recording. So let's have some fun today. Let's actually find that inner child within us and bring it to life. So I brought my inner child, my little zippy sweatshirt today. I'm wearing that, and I got my little captain hat on. Maybe this is actually for my OnlyFans account. I'm just kidding. I don't have an OnlyFans account. So we will be having a little bit of a humorous talk as well. I do like to bring laughter and comedy into this show. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to need a couple things today. And if you don't have these yet, that is totally fine. You can find them in the course, and I'll show you here where you can access these items. So first, but not least, we have the Dialectical Behavior Therapy book, which you can access as a PDF in the course. And that is under, let me see where it is. I want to say it's under Module 2. Do I see it under there? One second here. Okay, well, either way, I will put the link in the chat so you have access to it today. So give me 1 second to do that as well. So you're going to need this book today, and we're just going to go over a couple pages that you can dive into. So I will let you know what pages it is. So if you can't get this access today, you can do it later for homework or just to look at it. This is a really good resource for when you're seeing clients or for yourself. I mean, I use this with my kids. It's literally from age probably 8 is where they're going to start understanding this stuff to age 150. But it's a workbook that I created about DBT, and I'm probably gonna have to change the cover so people aren't deterred by therapy because we so are in America. But it's so good for us. The Healing Trauma Workbook, this is specifically for somatic nursing. This is just a one I created in KDP for myself because it was $4 to buy this. And to get this printed is actually like $50. So if you want a an author copy, I'm happy to send it to you. But the biggest thing is this is another resource for you, for yourself, for your clients that has, again, a lot of great information in. And we're going to go through this today. That's why I have my little bits on there. And then last but not least, this is the other reference and resource. I did print this out. I also have I have a hard copy somewhere that I actually purchased off of Amazon. So this is somebody's book. This is not my book. So just to let you know, I did just print this off just so I had it as a reference, but you can use these as well in your practice or for yourself again. So we're going to use some of this stuff in here, and that also can be found in the course, and I'll direct you where to go for that in just a moment. Let's dive into some better stuff first. All right, so before we begin the session, we're going to go ahead and start off with a somatic modality. Maybe a little meditation and breath work is what's coming to me for what we need today. For those of you that are here with me or watching this recording, I'm just feeling that moment. So wherever you are, if you're seated, if you're standing, we're going to go ahead and just take a moment to be with ourselves. Right? So this is going to get really exciting. Like, how often do we be with ourselves? And so go ahead and just notice your feet on the ground. If you're standing, if you're sitting, go ahead and notice your seat on the chair or wherever you're sitting on the couch, if you're in the bed. Just take a moment. If you want, you can close your eyes. You might see me kind of come in and out of me closing my eyes or even lowering my gaze, just so I can get a good download of what I want to say to you and guiding you today. So just coming back and feeling the body and knowing that your cells are just smiling right now. They're so excited. They're like, wow, they're taking time. They're taking time with us. This is so cool. And come back to that breath, coming back to noticing that breath, that beautiful breath that so often take for granted. So as we move through these next 8 weeks together, I want you to really start to dig in and take time to notice your breath throughout the day. Notice if it's shallow, deep, fast, or slow, and just come back to the breath. As you take a couple deep breaths, take that breath in through the nose this time, allowing the air to move through the nasal passages back to the end of the throat here, and then down into the lungs. And those little alveoli sacs open up and they're like, yay, oxygen exchange. And then as you exhale, exhale slowly out through the mouth. Maybe you offer a sigh, just settling down the nervous system. And then take another nice deep breath here. Taking a deep breath in, filling up the lungs a little bit more, really get to those lower lobes here, lower bottom of the lung. Sometimes we breathe so much up here, it's great to inflate that whole balloon, right? So as you exhale, just allow anything that's just not serving you right now. Maybe it's a thought or a feeling, just kind of allow that to release on that exhale of the breath. Good. One more time here. Just take another nice deep breath, bringing the arms up to the sky and just inviting and opening yourself to receiving just infinite possibilities. Infinite. There are so many cool opportunities coming in for you, for us, for everybody that is vibrating on a higher level. So just taking the arms up, maybe opening the palms, reaching up, reaching up. This is a victory pose. This is what we used to do when we were a little kid and we fell down and we got back up and we were like, yay, I got back up. So when you fall down, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get back up. We're going to get back up. So taking another deep breath, reach a little bit of a forward back bend here, just pushing the hips forward, coming down into cactus arms or scarecrow, maybe waving a little bit here, and then pulling the elbows back behind you as best as you can, dropping the chin down to chest, taking a deep breath here. Stretching out the back and the neck, dropping the elbows closer down towards the sides. Feeling the shoulders start to stretch and then start to round the back, bringing the arms forward, crisscrossing them and giving yourself a hug. Don't worry about how far your hands go. It's just the embrace of self that we're focusing on here. Taking another nice deep breath in and giving yourself a squeeze, like you squeeze your kiddos or you squeeze your nieces and nephews or you squeeze a loved one, just like give yourself a squeeze. All right. Just linger in those feelings, sensations, emotions, whatever comes up, just honor it. You don't have to act on it or go with it. All right. Now we can begin because you are here with me in the present moment. All right. So first things first, we are talking about the inner child today. And we're going to be talking about ACE scores as well. And within the course here, and I'll share my screen just momentarily, we will find the information about ACEs. So let me go ahead and open this up so you can also see where to go. Stand by, stand by. All right, perfect. Okay, so let me bring up the screen. Here we go. Okay, perfect. All right, I think you guys can see it. Okay, so right here in the course, and just a little bit of a review for those that might be joining us a little bit later in the course, we did have some later enrollments. So just a brief notation on the hub right here. This is where all the meeting links will be and the meeting links for the workshops as well. So we have 6 guest speakers that are nurses and non-nurses that work with the body through somatics, modalities, neuroscience that will be joining us and presenting different workshops that will just help you elevate yourself and your consciousness about what's possible for you. And so that's going to be really exciting. That will be placed here. This audio right here is from the Inner Child Session 1. So if you're more of an audio person and you're on the go and you're like, I don't have time, Emily, to watch your hour of information, Well, cool. I have a solution. Here is an audio. And that will be like that for every recording. Every time we spend together, we'll also have an audio too, which is really important. I am a visual audio and all the things learner. So I like to get information however I can. So if there is another way that you like to learn or receive information, please let me know because I like to tailor this as much as possible to the learners that are currently in the Somatic Coach program. All right, Somatics 101. We did a little bit of this last week, but I really hope that you just go through it, watch some of the YouTubes that are in here, and ask any questions. You can ask questions here. You can also ask questions in the community. So as soon as you log in to Graphy, that's the site, you can also download it on your phone as an app. So you just find Graphy in the App Store and you'll be able to log on to our course that way as well. So it is also an app per se, but it's using the Graphy platform. So that's a really cool feature if you're on the go, and you can use that app then. Questions, like I said, you can post in our community. So when you open up to your dashboard, you'll see all your courses, which you should have the Somatic Nurse Coach certification course. You should also have the Chat GPT course, and you should also have Modern Nurse Fest, the conference 2024. That is a recorded session of all the different workshops that we had at Modern Nurse Fest in October. So that conference this year will still be going on, and we'll also be having a Modern Nurse Fest in Alaska, Anchorage, with Nurses for Nurses, Jen Crow, which I'm so stoked about. So maybe you guys should make a trip to Anchorage, Alaska, because it's going to be a blast. So that community, you can ask any questions. Also, announcements will be there for the Somatic Nurse course, and any Q&As can go there. But obviously, if you're having technical difficulties or something problems with the platform itself, please just email me directly at connect@schoolofmodernnursing.com. All right, the nervous system. We talked about this at the beginning, the Tuesday session. We talked about the divisions. We talked about the body scan, I think a little bit. This one is a really nice way to really just get in touch with your body. And it's a nice little mindful exercise that I like to suggest to clients. And obviously, in this program itself, everything that I give to you, you can use with clients, but I'm kind of putting you through the paces here. So it's really like you just invested in an 8-week somatic therapy session with me. That's really what's happening. So good job on accepting that invitation. But no, I'm just kidding. But it is a deep dive into yourself, right? You're going to recognize some things and you're going to be like, damn, that just blew my mind, right? So that's what I hope happens for you as we move through the certification. So you can take a pen or a pencil and color these areas in. And it's just basically representing where kind of emotions lay, right? So maybe you have stress right here in the shoulders. You could put red right there. Maybe you have really good feelings in your heart center. You could put blue or green or yellow or orange, right? So it's just going through the body and just feeling sensations. So that's a really nice way and a template that can be utilized as we move through this course as well. All right. This is what we want to get into, how childhood trauma affects health across the lifetime. So that is a beautiful TED Talk by Nadine Burke Harris, and I highly suggest watching that. So the biggest thing here is to look at these two studies. And if we look at, let me see here. I brought it up. Let me see if I brought it up. No, but that is not that. Let me go ahead and pull it up for you guys. So the biggest thing about these studies is really interesting. And we'll go into the ACE scores here in just a second. But let me get this up for you guys. All right. So this is looking at 2012 to 2020. So obviously it's a little bit behind, but as you know, with research, stuff doesn't come out until a while later when everything has hit the fan, right? But I really kind of want you to go through this report, or you could just chat GTP a summary. That's what I did. That's why I have it open up here to just look at the prevalence with the ACE scores. And if you're not familiar with ACE scores is adverse childhood experiences, as you can read it right here if you have your eyes open today. And it's looking at a bunch of different factors and behavioral risks that we are involved in as children or not involved in as children. And then when we grow up in this big body, we're still a child, but we are now having adult experiences. We sometimes bring those experiences, those imprints on our DNA, whether it be generational as well, into the present moment. So if you have ever experienced PTSD, I will give you an example of this. If you were isolated a lot as a child, if your parents were not emotionally apt or educated, which many of our parents were not, you might have been isolated a lot, or you might have been told to go to your room because you did something bad. So you probably spent a lot of time in your room. That is very isolating, right? And it has detrimental effects upon our adult years because then when we maybe need to deal something, we isolate, not retreat, but we isolate to help ourselves deal with it when we really might need to confront the situation instead of suppressing those emotions. Because it might not be that you're suppressing those emotions when you're isolating. You might be drinking, using drugs, escaping what you actually need to try to process through or experience a conversation with somebody, right? So that's just kind of a mild example of what that might look like in adult life. So I want you to take a moment. Let me stop share this. I want you to take a moment. Let's remove the captain hat. We're done with that. We're done with that. And I want you to write down some things that you currently do in your adult life that are probably related back to your childhood experiences. So just take out a pen and paper or your note on the phone. And go ahead and just take a moment and think of some things you do in your adult life that has come up to you from childhood. And I'm going to bring a image up because I think it might help kind of look at this a little bit more here. And it might bring you to kind of thinking about things that you have had happen in your lifetime. And so this is the ACE pyramid. The ACE pyramid. Hail the ACE. All right, so if we look down here, this is conception. Obviously, this is like conception. You see conception actually comes at and after this right here. Can you see it? Generational embodiment. So shit that's happened to your parents, your grandparents, and all those other people that came before you that have paved the way have had experiences or have had decided to stuff them inside themselves. And then what happens is that encodes your DNA. And so when we talk about genetic risk, genetic factors, sometimes those genetic risks and genetic factors actually aren't even related to epigenetics, which is looking more at how our DNA is imprinted by our experiences. It is actually behaviors learned from generational patterns. And so, as we know, we can change a behavior at any time, right? That's the power and the beauty of behavior. We can change it if we want, right? So, if we look at conception, it happens after. So, you actually come into this world already imprinted with possibly what you're going to go do, or with those past and previous experiences from the generations before you, which is kind of mind blowing to me. And it was really interesting. I did a past life regression that I'll talk to you guys about some other time. But it was really interesting to me because I was like, oh my gosh, I do that now. But I used to do that in my previous life. And that really comes really easily to me, what I do now. And they were like, well, that's because that's what you did in a previous life. Now, who knows if that's a serious thing, if that's an actual thing, but I do believe that energy does transfer and it might transfer into various humans. We've had a lot of scientific evidence just from human experiences about humans that have come from different errors. And it's really cool to watch some of those videos as well. So that's a whole nother metaphysical, spiritual aspect that we're not getting into today. But I just wanted you to notice as I get off my soapbox that generational embodiment is below conception with historical trauma. And that is a whole other class in itself. So you're born into social conditions and local context. So this is where I want you to start thinking and writing down like, okay, my family was under the poverty line. I lived in a trailer, right? These are examples that might actually relate to your current adult situation. And we can see this with like lower socioeconomics. We see this with middle class and even like the higher end wealthy classes, right? So if you look at some small towns, say I did some really cool adventures in West Virginia where we actually went on horseback and went into communities because that's how you got into the community. And this was back in 2009. And we rode these horses into communities to provide nursing care. And it was so cool to see that although these people had nothing, they had everything. Right. And so we'll talk a little bit about that mindset here in a minute. But a lot of these ACE scores relate and transfer into limiting beliefs as we move into adulthood. So these adverse childhood experiences might transform into limiting beliefs, right? So now, if you want, you can even write down like your own limiting beliefs. And I did this the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. The lies we tell ourselves, right? And there's this cool opportunity. I think I had it in the last session on Tuesday, but you just write down all the lies you tell yourself and then you reframe those lies. And it's a really cool exercise to do. So, looking at this again, we have social conditions. What are your family's jobs? Is it stable? Are you moving from home to home? Are you living in homeless shelters? What does that look for you, right? Adverse childhood experiences. These are things that just happen to us that we might not have any control over, such as like sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, environmental abuse, right? Some of those things that we have no control over because we are a child. Um, Disrupted neurodevelopment, right? This might be I was born a baby still addicted to heroin, right? Or I didn't get the tools I needed when I was in second grade. These are all fictitious, by the way. I'm just giving examples. I didn't get the tools I needed in third grade to help me learn like I should when I was in school, right? So all these kind of things start to build up. It's like a Jenga, it's just stacking, right? And until you get to your adult life is when you start pulling out those pieces and realizing, oh shit, that was my experience when I was younger. I am now this Jenga tower. And slowly I'm going to get triggered. And sometimes we pull just the right one out of that Jenga stack and it falls down, right? And that's really kind of when we have a crisis occurs and we have to kind of reinvent ourselves or re-identify ourselves of what we want. And that's really what happens in nurse burnout. The Jenga falls down and then you're left with like, what do I do now? Right. So this is to stop people from getting to burnout. And somatic nurse coaches also will provide solution for the amount of people that aren't able to have therapy due to insurance, due to their own limitations, their own stigma, because it's not that we need therapy. We don't need to keep talking about our problems because we are no longer those problems. It's time to tell a new story. And I'm not really sure that I'm familiar with any therapy that does that. If there is, please let me know. I know there's individual therapists that create action plans and they're like, yes, let's go forward instead of lingering the situation just so I can make money off of you because I know every week that you're going to come back and just talk about your problems. So, money, hello, that's the system that we're looking at. And so, diving more into these adverse childhood experiences can help you link and connect to this day. This is why I do this. This is why I isolate. This is why I communicate with my partner this way, is because I saw my parents communicate this way, and that's how they communicated with me. For example, this is true. I was a yeller for a really long time because my dad yelled at me. And so I yelled at my kids. And one day I was like, this does not feel good, when I started to become very invested in learning about myself and learning about self-awareness and emotions and our bodily symptoms, how they tell us what kind of states we're in, emotional states we're in. And I noticed one day after I was like yelling at my kid for, he was like 4. And I don't even know what it was, but I just remember like feeling my heart race. My armpits were so sweaty. My stomach was in knots, and I felt like I wanted to vomit. And it was almost this realization like, why am I doing this? Is a child. What? But it's because I was spoken to like that. So I invite you to really kind of critique yourself and ask your kids, your family members, your loved ones, like, I want you to give me feedback as your mom, as your dad, as your aunt, as your grandparent, about the things that you really like that I do and the things that you really don't like that I do. And I want to change those things so I can be a better person for you, right? And when my kids, I first started doing this with my kids were like, you're crazy, mom. But now it's like, no, like we're a team. Like this is how this works. We're a team. I am not this authority figure over you. Like, this is a team collaboration. This is my first time being a mom. This is your first time being a 13-year-old. Like, we're going to figure this shit out. Right. So, coming from a place of collaboration rather than an authority figure coming in. So, it's even time that we kind of look inward and notice, what are these cycles that we've been doing for so long that are just not serving us? Right. So, looking at social, emotional, cognitive impairment, we're looking at adoption of health risk and behaviors, disease, disability, social problems, and then that goes to early death, right? So if we keep stacking these on top of each other enough, and you don't have the skills to manage these ACEs or move from an identity of victim and crisis to an identity of hero and rising, then you're going to die really fast, and it's usually due to suicide, overdosing, or some of these really horrible things that happen, such as like impulse driving, and they get in an accident and they die, all due to us having these experiences and holding on to them so hard that we pull them into our adult life and they show up. And so I invite you, those of you that are with me here live, and in the recording, you can go ahead and chat in our community about this. But I just want to ask you right now, those of you that are live with me, what are some things that you've noticed in your adulthood that have come from your childhood experiences that you're still kind of navigating through today?
I actually through a good counselor that used a variety of tools and had a very limited, like, we're going to get through this, and if you're here, still here 6 years from now, I've not done my job. She helped me to identify. I got to a time in my life where I realized that I was always angry,
Mm,
and I didn't realize until I got to digging through my past with her that it was related to some of my childhood experiences that I then saw happening to my own children. And when they
wow.
started experiencing some of the same things I was experiencing, then I was angry all the time. And more recently, just this week, I realized again through some of the same childhood experiences, I learned that grown-ups lie, that they lie to you. And I realize now my trust issues are because of that. I have a hard time trusting people in my life because I was taught very early on that grown-ups lie.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, Matt. It's such an interesting statement, right? And it's something that has held with you for so long. Just that statement of adults lie has transversed your whole life experience up to this point and even in the future. of that trust. And that's a really interesting connection. And thank you for sharing that vulnerability of this is what happened in my childhood. And I think that it's really interesting connection of yeah, the lies and the trust. And, you know, a lot of the clients that I've seen, there's a lot of trust issues, not with only just trusting others, but trusting others when you know, they mean well or they, you know, it's an even exchange of connectivity, right? And it's just like we always have this kind of almost like it's an on guard. Do you feel like you're kind of on guard sometimes, Matt, with that? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost my default setting, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and I think and that's kind of where it comes into play. Like this this PDF, we'll go into this a little bit. This is the front of the experience log. But I think that's where learning, like tracking for trauma clues and the body checklist, these are nonverbal communications that other people do that we can start to identify and be like, no, you're speaking a lot of bullshit right now. And it's just because their eyes are darting or they're fiddling with something, or it's very pronounced different ways that human behavior is expressed. And a lot of it is just so nonverbal. So I'd like to kind of hear, do you notice now, can you kind of sense when somebody is lying or just not being truthful? Have you noticed that at all, Matt?
Uh, Unfortunately, I just kind of assume they always are.
Okay.
Uh, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And now having made that link really just this week to the past, yeah, I think it opens up the opportunity for me to just go, okay, yeah, but this isn't that,
Yeah.
and then to be present in the moment with those people and go say, okay, has this person given me a reason not to trust them?
Yeah.
Because they're not my little league baseball coach.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I love that you kind of invite a little bit of curiosity, right? Because it almost is like, I almost like feel like I'm like, push it away. Like when it comes at me, like my past childhood experience is like, no, right? I have to like tell it to like sit down and not come up in that present moment. And like you said, when we are literally and mindfully in the present moment, none of that stuff matters, right? Because we are here now and none of that's bleeding into our experience. So, yeah, I love that approach. Thank you, Matt, for saying that. Yeah, just come in with curiosity and connection. Yeah. Taylor, did you want to add to the discussion? Thanks for being here.
So awesome. So thank you, Matt, for sharing. I'm Taylor. It's nice to meet you. This is a pure example of Emily and I's beginning. Where
Yeah.
I was like, what is wrong with her? Why does she want to help me? Like, why, like I just distrust, like there's something in it for her here. It's not because she actually values me and wants to lift me up, right? So good. But my example is I mean, I've had everything you just were saying. I'm sorry I was late, but everything you were saying just about like the childhood experiences and, neglect, moving around. I lived in 43 places before I moved out on my own at 16. Had a baby early, just all these things, lots of drugs, alcohol in my life as a child. Um, no relationship with my mom. I'm estranged from my mom at this point in my life. And my oldest daughter is estranged from me. And when that happened and she stood in her power and put that boundary up, that's when my life changed. And when I started doing a lot more inner work. And today I can say I'm so proud of her for not talking to me and putting that boundary up. It freaking hurts, but I'm proud of her for that. And unfortunately, she had to be a catalyst for change for me. And now I show up so differently as a mom, as a wife. I still have so much work to do, but yeah, I mean, the inner child comes out on a daily for me. But now I can be like an observer, like Matt was saying. Like I can be an observer and be like, oh, this is that. This is that thing. I have an opportunity here. How do I want to be a victim or do I want to be a hero? This is what Emily just said to me the other day. Do you want to be a victim or do you want to be a hero? It's like, oh, yeah. What do I want to play here? What role do I want to play? So very powerful stuff. Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's, yeah. It's honestly, you guys know I like to use, colorful words, but it's a fuckery. It really is. And it's not until we start to kind of just start to understand that that was our experiences, but we are empowered to change our experiences at any time or rewrite our story, right? Like there's so much power in rewriting a story. And you both just gave such lovely and beautiful examples of relationships with our kids. Like, love my kids, right? Like makes my heart sing. And, it's you just stopped the generational situation. Like, holy shit, you just stopped like what no longer was. So good job. I mean, seriously, like you all have to give your pat on the back today for that because that's that's like priceless. You just changed the course of history for the rest of the people that come after you. Like I just got chills. Whoop! Like how I'm like, holy crap. Like how empowering is that? Woo! Just mind blown. Your kids and their kids and the kids that they will no longer emulate this behavior that has been in your family for so long. It makes me want to cry tears of joy because it's such a cool thing to think about, right? So, whew, throat chakras coming out. Okay. So, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being vulnerable and we'll keep this discussion going. Let's open it up in the community because I think it's really important just to keep diving into more things that have happened as a child that has come into our current experience. Because I know for myself, um, when I was 8 years old, my mom sent me on a big giant airplane from London, England to live with my dad in Las Vegas. So I flew across the ocean by myself and it was this horrendous thing. And it wasn't till later in my years when I was having all these sorts of behaviors happen. I'm like, there is seriously something wrong with me. Like, I feel like I was going crazy and ended up noticing like I have abandonment issues. That's what's happening. That's why I can't keep relationships. That's why I can't trust people. That's why I can't, right? But now I can because now I'm empowered that I understand all these things that had happened and that are coming into my present moment that I do have control over if I want to bring them into the present moment or not. And so I think it's really important that we take a breath when we're in a discussion with somebody, as I've been doing myself lately, and speaking to them as if they were also a child. I think that's just really empowering. So it really diffuses when you're in a heated discussion, it really diffuses the energy and make it a little bit more playful. Like life should not be so damn serious. Like, why are we so serious all the time? Why? What? Like, that's not okay with me. That is not okay. I like to have fun with whatever I'm doing. Even if my kids are in trouble, I'm like, hey, you get to experience the pain of that emotion, whatever emotion you're feeling right now, like you get to experience that pain. And then we move on from it. Like, why are, soapbox. Okay, so that comes back to ACEs are connected to this is in the DBT book, and I'm going to pull it up here and give you guys the link. It's this one right here. You can also purchase it on Amazon, but please just send me your address and I'll just send you one because I'm all about supporting you guys. Here's feelings and unmet needs. So I want you to open this page up. It's page, there's a 1 and a 2 at the bottom of it. I don't really have page numbers per se for this book. But it's feelings and unmet needs. And let me go ahead and pull that up for you guys. And I'm going to throw it up in the link here. Look at the time. Okay. Stand by here. Thanks. Good old Canva coming through. Good old Canva. Okay. Sorry, I'm a Canva hoarder, so I have to I have to go through the situation. Okay, is it this one? Okay, let's go. Let's go into the course. I believe I did put this in here for you guys. If you guys find it before me, let me know.
Which book is it again? I'm sorry.
It's this DBT. I know it's in here. I'm trying to think.
I'm looking at that one, but I don't see the page.
Okay, you have it up.
78 and 79 in the PDF at least.
Okay,
So
you
79,
said 78 and 79, Matt.
maybe 79 and 80. Hold on a second. Yeah, 79 to 80.
Is
Yeah,
it 81 too?
81, 82. Yeah, starts
Okay.
on 79.
Okay, perfect. I just write that up on the board. Okay, great. So you guys both have that. Lovely. Okay, awesome. So if you open that up or have it up on your screen, have it up on the screen, and then I'll pull that book for next time. I apologize for my unpreparedness of that situation. I thought I had it open. All right. So if we look at this, this is a really cool way. So first you kind of have to be a little bit more in touch of just, what kind of emotion you're feeling. And we have 5 to 6 main emotions, depending on what theology you look at. But emotions expand more than just happy, sad, joyful, angry, right? Like there's a shit ton of emotions and they're in this book. But this is a really good way to look at how you feel, the emotions that surround it, and then the needs. We so often don't look at the needs, but you can also do this backwards as well. And I do this with a lot of clients because these unmet needs come from childhood. And so I like to start with the needs. So like, what are you needing? Are you needing connection? Are you needing belonging? I'm just starting at the top with abandon. Are you needing support or caring? Because this might be coming from a place of abandonment in your childhood, right? So I walk around my house and I'm like, all right, I need connection. Somebody, I need connection. And a kid will come out or my partner will come out and they'll be like, what do you need? I'm like, okay, I just need a hug. Like I need to hang out with somebody. I'm feeling very isolated right now and lonely and I need you to connect with me. And so it's all about expressing what we need, right? So often we're like, I feel sad. Oh, well, what are you going to do with that? Like, you can't just end there. You got to do something about it. And, we so often see this in children. And, it's mind blowing. I'm trying to find another reference here. It's mind blowing that, you know, this book right here is great for kids as well because it does dive into, and I know Taylor, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Um, the amount of bullying and things like that are going on in schools, it's because they're not really being shown how to express their emotions. And so I have a somatic coach that she's a nurse coach. She graduated and she works strictly with teens and she teaches this stuff. And she's mind blown at like how they change just over 2 months. They're actually saying to their parents, like, I feel really sad right now because you yelled at me earlier for not cleaning up the back seat. So can you please not yell at me again? Because it really hurt. Like, what? Like, how can you imagine if everybody just walked around being like, hey, I feel really happy today because you called me earlier and I just love that. Thank you. I would love that if you did that again. Like, if we just were able to communicate better emotionally, right? Um, so I want you to take a moment this week until Tuesdays or Thursday. This is the homework. I want you to kind of go through here and you're going to look at the needs and just highlight like what are the predominant needs in your life right now? What does that look like for you? Um, right? So you might go down, you might be like, oh, I need justice, right? Or I need safety. I need freedom. And then I want you to go back and then you're going to look at the feeling that kind of relates to that. And that feeling usually is related back to your childhood experiences. And so this is a really good way right here to start if you're into bringing this into your coaching practice, or you just want to do this for yourself or helping others, if you're mentoring, have people do this. And this right here can really spell out the next plan. that they need to do, because that's going to come back to their inner child. Okay, now the next part is the exploring unmet needs. So the next page, I believe, Matt, is at 83.
Yeah.
Okay. So in exploring unmet needs, if we come over here, this is the next step, like I just said, right? I feel abandoned. My emotions are hurt, sad, lonely, my unmet needs. I'm not having caring, support, connection. So I'm going to reach out to friends and family, practice self-care, and validate myself, right? So it's all about taking the next step. And this is not just in nursing, this is all of us. Like, what are we going to do next? Because usually we just sit in victim mode and we're like, I'm sad. It's like, ugh, nobody wants to be around you when you're sad. But maybe we do. Maybe we need more connection when we're sad, right? Okay. The next part before we end here with our meditation is right here. Okay. So the next part is, and if you go backwards, Matt, just a few pages, can you tell me what page this one is, the self-validation?
76.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Okay, great. All right, so page 76 in the DBT workbook is self-validation. And so often we're going to end with, so often we rely on others for external validation. So often that our whole life sometimes becomes built off of other people's opinions and facts about ourselves that aren't even true. And we start to build our identity around those assumptions and opinions of others. And it all comes from that external validation. And so, most importantly, what we see in nursing when, external validation is huge in nursing. And many of us identify our careers from the opinions of others that might be in a little bit of a higher aspect than us, whether it be a professor, a boss, an administrator, a mentor, and they're taking their own experiences and they're bringing them to the present moment, and then they're giving their opinion of what they think you should do. And so it's like the cycle starts all over again. So if you have a professor and they're like hating on life, but that's all they know, and they're in the university and they're trudging along, and you come along and you're like, wow, I really want to grow in education. And they're all like, they're just haggard and not even a person you probably should talk to, but you don't know who else to talk to. They're going to probably be like, this is what I did, and this is what you should do too, right? There's not really a curiosity of like, well, what do you want to do? It's usually like, blah, this is what you should do, and this is what I did, and we're just going to keep creating cycles of stuff that doesn't work. And so this is the self-validation that's really important. It wasn't until I started validating myself that I started doing really cool shit. Because for so long, I would ask people to validate my idea, validate what my next move was, and they would usually want to deter me because it was either too risky or not professional or whatever other excuse they had. And so when I started doing more self validation and acknowledging my own little child within, things started to happen. We become on a higher frequency, and energetically, we're just speaking of energy, right? When we're sitting in higher emotions like authenticity, happiness, joy, excitement, our body is literally vibrating. We are energetic beings in a flesh suit. That's what's going on right now. And so every time we say something to ourselves, it affects us all the way down to those cool mitochondrias, right? Back in like sixth grade, the powerhouses of the cell. It affects all the way down to the cell. So really start to notice how you are speaking to yourself. And then notice that when others speak to you, to not take it so deeply that it's ingrained into your DNA, into your mitochondria. Just take it as a thought of somebody else that is just providing you with their thoughts or opinions, and then cut it off, right? Unless it's going to help you change your life or change the trajectory of whatever you're doing right now, right? You have the discernment to use your intuition, whether to listen to this person or not. So looking at identifying your emotions, acknowledging the emotion, like it's okay that I'm sad right now. I just lost a friend or whatever, right? That's an example. It's going to be okay. I can get through this. Understand why you feel this way. Radically accept yourself. I fully accept how I feel right now because it's justified, right? That's the point. You have to make sure it's justified, right? I can be feeling so sad that I didn't pass my farm test. Is it justified? Probably, but probably not the depth of sadness that I'm going. Like it was just a farm test, right? So it's understanding, just radically accepting where you are in this moment. And then practicing self love and self compassion. My favorite, think about what you feel grateful for. You do this every day. Especially if you start to feel yourself kind of go down the deep, dark hole of just loathing about yourself and you're not where you want to be in life and all these things that we can go into and just feel really shitty about ourselves. When you start noticing that spiral, I want you to just take a moment and be like, damn, I'm grateful that I have 2 feet and I'm standing right now. Damn, I'm grateful for my breath. I am so grateful that the sun is shining today. I'm so grateful that I'm able to use my voice to speak to you, right? So just get in grateful mode. As soon as you start feeling yourself diving into a cycle that you're perpetually recreating because of something that happened 20 years ago, just take a moment, be grateful, give yourself a hug, hold your own hand. Oh, look at this as an opportunity to learn and grow, forgive yourself for future and past mistakes. So those are the two um, homeworks that we are doing this week, and we're going to go ahead and end here with a inner child meditation. So I'm going to go and run and grab my photo of me as a child. And I think, did you guys all bring one? Did everybody bring a child photo? Matt, you don't have, are you at your office, Matt? Okay. Yeah, don't take, hold on, let me grab this one. Okay. All right. So I want you to, this is me as a little one. And this is me as a little one. So I want you to grab, oh, look how cute she is. I want you to grab a photo of yourself when you're a child. If you don't have a photo of yourself when you're a child, if there's a loved one or somebody you know that can get a picture for you, do that. If not, just recreate that picture in your mind and then try to draw it out on a piece of paper. That I've had people do that before and it's absolutely hilarious. So you can take that approach as well. But I want you to put this picture in your bathroom mirror. Yes, that's so good. Look at that hair, Maddie Matt. It moved down to your face. Oh my gosh, I love that. Wow. How old were you in that photo?
16, I think,
That's
15
amazing.
or 16. And the
Oh,
beautiful young lady sitting next to me is my wife. This
oh my
was
God.
1991.
That's
Yeah.
so cool. Wow. That's amazing. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with me. So cool. Yeah, so having a picture, just your younger self. It doesn't have to be like when you're 2 or 3, but yeah, 16, like those are just such great years of our life that we're learning so much and doing so much. So have this picture, print it out, have it on your bathroom mirror, have it somewhere where you can see it several times a day. And I want you to just talk to your younger self. You might feel a little nutty at first. It's okay. We're all a little bit crazy. Just be like, "Hey Emily, thank you for being with me. I just want you to know I'm really safe right now and I'm just so excited what we're going to do together." Right? Because your inner child's like that creative, laughable, fun, free-spirited part of you that gets so stuffed down as we become these adults. And it's like children laugh about 300 to 400 times a day. Adults laugh like 15 to 20. So we need to bring more laughter and fun and just be silly. Like, just, the next time you do something, bring laughter into it instead of anger and like, oh, that was stupid. Just be like, oh my God, I cannot believe that. That was so silly. Like, I spilled this whole thing, did not have a lid on this morning. And I went to drink it and it went down my whole sweatshirt and it soaked my sweatshirt. And I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious. And so you can't get mad. It's just go change your shirt, right? It's not worth putting the energy into something. So just noticing this week what you want to put energy into and what you don't want to put energy into. And so let's go ahead and end with a meditation here. Feel free to turn off your camera if you like. We're going to go ahead and take our gaze just down if you feel comfortable here. Close your eyes, soften your gaze, and just take a moment to just picture your younger self. Picture your younger self, however old that is, and just notice the freeness of being that age, of going wherever you like, of being with whoever you want to be with your experiences. It's almost like a lack of limitations when we're a child, right? It's like the sky's not even the limit. It goes beyond that into the universe because we don't have so many limiting beliefs yet. So I just want you to linger with your younger self here and just notice them. Let it bring a smile to your face. And just taking your two hands here just onto your heart center. And just feeling the chest rise and fall here. Just knowing that inner child is still in you. That inner child wants to come out and play and be happy and have fun and cut it up. Be wild, be free without limits. The limits that we've collected over the time that we've been having this human experience. So I want you to take a nice, beautiful, deep breath in through that beautiful nose of yours, through that nasal passage, all the way to the back of the throat as it enters into the lungs. And those beautiful lungs that are balloons expand as you exchange oxygen without even telling yourself to. It magically just happens at those little alveoli sacs. That exchange happens. And then as we exhale, you realize that with one breath, we can just begin again. Taking a moment, just give yourself a squeeze here, wrapping yourself with your arms, squeezing yourself as if you were squeezing your child, your inner child. And then opening it up to that victory pose if you want. So keeping that eyes closed or that gaze down, opening up the fingers, and then just bringing the hands to the heart center and just bowing and honoring each of our humanness, our creativity, and our love for ourselves. Thank you so much for being with me today. Go ahead and flutter your eyes, move your fingers around, come on back. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and post those in our community. Until next time, I hope you have the best day ever and the best couple next days until we meet again on Tuesday. So I'll also have that as a recording. But I highly suggest just getting these books around. So the first one is the DBT. There's this one. I'll put them at the top on the hub if you don't already have them yet. And then Healing Trauma. So in the Healing Trauma, the assignment to look over is this one, the Triune Brain and Trauma. And then also it's going to be this Building Somatic Awareness, which is obviously I don't have pages, but I'll find the ones in Canva and give it to you guys. Building somatic awareness. This will also give you kind of a good indication of some of the stuff that we'll be heading into as we move through these 8 weeks together. So thank you for being with me today. I appreciate y'all. And whew, this was a juicy one. Got my eyes flowing, got my eyes flowing here. So, all right, until next time, have a great day and a high five, you guys. I'll see you soon. Take care. I'll see you. Bye.